big or small doesn't make a difference to me. Like there's just as many great pieces of street art that of the size of your thumb that they to me are kind of special as well. Like because not everyone always notices those. A little bit of extra excitement on your journey that you spot something that not everyone will always notice. Whereas the big pieces, I guess you can't miss, of course. It's a whole can of worms that. They're two separate things. Street art is about, like what you're saying. Like whenever there's therapy, if anyone has any mental issues, art and creativeness is always one of the first things to be taught and to help. Yeah, if someone is going to psychotherapy, the creativeness and art is always taught. So it helps people's mental health. It helps people figure stuff out. So if someone needs to paint a fucking train, let them do it. I don't. What's money when you have people's lives and mental health? Gone but not forgotten. The Waterford one, the Port Larga came up, which was the ship, and when I saw photos of that ship, I was working on that deep sea diver mermaid, and it had just come together. From sea mine, image of sea mine to this, it could have been a couple of months. And that's sometimes the way pieces, work. They just cook themselves. Takes a while. But the final bit was seeing photos of that Port Larga shipwreck. And I was like, and then if I always get it, it turns me on in that way, stencils. But I like to arrive at my chosen location with it all pretty much planned out how it's gonna go. I don't leave too much open to the spirit, letting it go. It's already planned out, and stencils suit that. I arrive with a pretty fair mind how I want that wall to look when it's done. And yeah, stencils help me get as close as I can to my mind's vision of how it's going to look. I don't think my freehand skills would hold up to the way I want it to look at the end of it, and still be for me. It was only until I wanted to produce my own artwork, my own, something that I wanted to say, something was an extension of me, that stencils became that tool that I was able to express that. It's like a jigsaw. You arrive with all these bits, and they're your tools to make that picture as close as you can to your. It's like a game in that way, it's kind of fun. But yeah, just from what I picture the piece to be, stencils gets me there the closest.
I got into street art. Well, first of all, I got into painting graffiti, and that was like 1990s. It was like mid-90s, and I actually kind of started to see it on the dart tracks and stuff. And there was one of the lads in school had brought in 2 books. One was subway art, the other one was spray can art. Subway art's probably the most one of the seminal kind of books that ever came out about graffiti. It was like, as the name suggests, it's all about graffiti painted on subways in the New York subway system. So that was all kind of based around 70s, 80s. It was brought out early 80s, the book was, and it was actually the most robbed book at one stage in the world. We got our hands on this and absolutely just mind blown, and the two of us really buzzed off that together. And there was a little bit of a scene in Dublin at the time. It was kind of starting to show up on the dart tracks. There was guys painting over from the north side. There was like a couple of spots like Windmill Lane and Temple Bar, all around the Clarence. There was like the Project Art Centre was actually being constructed at that time, and they had loads of hoardings. So it was really just seeing it all around, kind of accessible for the general public, opposed to what I used to paint a lot of was like stylized letter forms, which is graffiti, and that was I had a tag, and you know, it was really only other people within the graffiti community that could really, I guess, kind of understand it and get it and enjoy it. Maybe the general public could kind of enjoy it to a certain degree. It's like, oh, nice colours, interesting shapes. It's kind of how people enjoy abstract art, really. At the same time, it's probably got like a lot of parallels with like certain parts of the art world, which are kind of like high art that are kind of with, you know, it's like crazy conceptual art that is really only enjoyed by a very small percentage of the population that kind of gets it, you know. One's painted on the street, the other one, it's that segregation of, yeah, it's elitism. I'm still mad about graffiti. I think it's, you know, it's really inspiring. I love seeing really well painted stuff. I still sketch a bit myself as well, but there are purists out there that are just like, nah, street art's fucking, you know, it's a load of shite, it's bullshit, you know. And my intentions now have kind of changed, you know. I like the fact that I can paint something and connect with more people, and that I can actually, you know, connect with the graffiti community and with the general public and with street artists, whoever, you know. I just don't compartmentalise what I do now anymore. It's more, I'm painting art on a large scale or creating it in the studio, and it's just all about whatever best suits what I do. I don't really think about those divides anymore, and I don't really think who I should pitch the work to at all. It's ultimately, am I happy with what I've created?
Street art, I always thought, would be really suitable for Waterford. First of all, Waterford is a beautiful city. In recent years there was a lot of vacant, empty buildings, even though they were beautiful architecturally wise, and they would never be used for the purpose that they were built for in the first place. So why not ask the council and see if they would give us the buildings to paint the walls and bring a bit of life and colour back into the areas in which they were situated. And as well as that, street art was very much in its infancy stages in Ireland, and why not give Waterford the opportunity to be the street art capital of Ireland. In terms of street art on the walls, it's a very engaging, public, inclusive art form. So, you know, for us it was about putting the artwork up there and letting the public engage with it. And it isn't an art form that a lot of people would think is for, you know, young skateboarders type demographic. It's actually all ages, all backgrounds, residents, visitors alike, and to date it's just been a success. Graffiti has connotations with vandalism, and it does with a lot of business owners and the business community. Graffiti, when it's done properly, is a very beautiful art form. But for me, I would be looking more at graffiti as part of street art, because street art encompasses a far broader thing. Graffiti would be graph writing, where street art would be including imagery, social commentary. You know, it kind of includes a far broader spectrum of art. It's just lovely to hear the comments from, you know, like say a resident up where James Early painted his last year's mural was, you know, now the children can go out and play. They couldn't go out and play in this area for years because it was just antisocial behaviour. Now this colourful pictures meant, you know, that's kind of, you know, it's safer for the kids to go out to play. Do you know, things like that. It's just overwhelming. People changing their route to go to work because they want to pass their favourite mural in the morning, like Good Morning Waterford, just makes them smile. Do you know, so it's simple things like that. You know, obviously it's working.
always so flush, so they always managed to rustle up whatever was my latest endeavour. They rustle up the money for me. Portfolio cases, going to college, you know, all that stuff's expensive. So luckily enough to have supportive parents, you know, growing up. My dad's a musician, so you know, saw the world in a whole other way. Taught me, I guess, you know, passed on to me that, you know, you don't have to go the norm. Getting a good time out of life, spreading that love, you know, like it's like music and art and creativeness, films, song, like it flows through my blood, you know, and I'm just, you know, doing things that satisfies that. And you know, not everyone sees the world that I do, and you know, when you do pass on your love to other people, their enjoyment of it gives, you know, spurs you on.